Right, Sam, how are you doing?
Yeah, André, not too bad. How's things?
Not bad at all.
Good.
Another day.
Yeah, another day, another dollar.
Another special guest.
Exactly. We've got Mandy Huntley, data protection consultant.
Hi.
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 Hello.
As excited to be here as we are. Clearly. Excellent. Fantastic. So, Mandy, you're going to tell us all about, well, data protection, clearly. But, of course, we want to start, as we start every podcast, by asking you, where has the business come from? Why did you start it? Tell us the story.
Okay. Do you want the really long version or just the slightly long version?
I mean, the long version with all the details.
I think so.
The long version
That's
with
where
the
it gets
details.
fun, right? Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm going to go back about 10 years. And I was in a job that I hated with a passion. I had it was a really toxic atmosphere. I really didn't like it. And it had completely destroyed my mental health. I was really low. And I was looking through, job advertisements, vacancies, and saw an advert for a job at St. Catherine's Hospice. And I thought, probably won't get it, but what have I got to lose? I'm gonna give it a go. So anyway, I applied and sure enough got invited to an interview. Well, it was probably the best and worst interview that I've ever been to in my life. I turned up and I can tell you all of this because the recruiting manager is now a very good friend of mine and we've spoken about it multiple times since. But so I'm not saying anything that I haven't said directly to her.
You don't want his name or his address and compromise GDPR and all of that. No,
I don't want to do all that.
No.
But so I turned up to this interview and they said to me, right, you've got 15 minutes to prepare a presentation. I was like, okay, great, let's do that. And I got handed a sheet of data and some flip chart paper and some flip chart pens. Now, normally, if somebody hands me flip chart paper and coloured pens, I am like all over it, love it. On this occasion, I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to prepare a presentation in 15 minutes based on this data? I was like, I can't do it. I'm not going to be able to do it. So I wasted about half the time flapping and just in an absolute flat spin panic. And then eventually I said to myself, look, you've got two choices. You walk away now or you get on and give it a go and see what happens. So I was like, no, head down, got to give it a go. So anyway, got the paper in front of me, took the lid off the pen, put pen to paper, realised the pen didn't work. I was like, no. So scanned the room, found another pen, was like, right, now we're cooking on gas, let's go, we are going to do this. Anyway, fast forward to the end of the interview, I walked away thinking, I'm never going to hear from them again. That was horrendous. That's it. Draw a line underneath it, walk away, start looking again. I was walking around Tesco's that evening when my phone rang, I answered it, and this voice said something along the lines of, hello Mandy, it's Jane from St. Catherine's Hospice. It was really lovely meeting you today and we'd like to offer you the job. Well, it took every single ounce of my self-composure to not swear down the phone. And I thought that really wouldn't be like the right impression. So I was like, no, okay, that's excellent. Thank you very much. I would love to accept.
Can I hang up now?
Yes. I'm thinking, please let me hang up because I'm going to explode any second. Jane has gone on to be such a huge part of my story because she was somebody who believed in me. That was a kind of relatively low to mid-level admin position, and she believed in me, and she said to me when the time came and GDPR was circulating and this great new data protection thing was going to happen.
I don't even know how to spell GDPR.
I know, innit? It's quite tricky. She said to me, do you want to take it on? I think she kind of knew what was coming. I said, yeah, all right, well, may as well. And actually, I found it really interesting in a really sort of geeky sort of way because all of a sudden I could get back to flip chart paper and coloured pens, I was
yeah.
drawing diagrams and I was sticking them on the wall, and it was just fantastic. And I really saw it as a way of, it was a puzzle. I had to get from A to B. I couldn't break any rules along the way. Your starting point is you receiving data. B is the end of it, where you don't need that data anymore. I had to get all the way through. I couldn't break any rules. I wouldn't get £200 for pass and go. Just got to power on through. And it was great. I liked it. So then I did some training through the hospice, and really built up my knowledge. And a lot of data protection is about kind of the way you think about things and the way you methodically work through a problem, to either say, no, that's too risky, let's not do that, or to say, yes, you can do it, but with these safeguards in place. So Jane really believed in me and pushed me forward to do that. Along the way, also at the hospice, I met another lady who's had a massive impact on me, who is Patricia. Now, Patricia was very, very senior to me. And but we worked very closely together. She had a role, what's called a Caldecott Guardian, which I'm sure, Sam, you will be very familiar with.
Yes. I think I was one at some point.
So Patricia worked with me and really taught me how to think through all the different nuances of disclosing personal information, when you would, when you wouldn't, how you would work through the rights and wrongs of it. And again, between Jane and Patricia, they really gave me a lot of confidence in, as I built my knowledge, to go and make those work on my own, make the decisions with the kind of the safety net of they're just there if I needed to run anything past them. So anyway, last year, the hospice funding crisis really started to bite hard, and hospices just don't have enough money to they don't have a sustainable funding model, so they St Catherine's made a lot of job cuts. I opted for voluntary redundancy because I decided that the time had come to do something else. And I really kind of thought it's now or never in terms of the business. If I didn't do it last year, when was I going to? When was I going to have the opportunity again? So I took voluntary redundancy, and then in February this year, launched my business. So my business is really new. It's proper newbie, but I love it. I love it because I meet so many different people and different business. I love hearing about people's businesses and what they do and how they do it, and so yeah, that's kind of it's where the business came from. Yeah. Why I'm doing it, because it's fascinating, really. Wow. To me, meeting all new people, and I've learned so much from people about running a business, and I'm not there yet. It's still very much in its infancy, but each day and week we move forward, and I love it.
And I guess a part of like you saying, you really like meeting other businesses. Part of it, must tie in clearly with actually what your business is, which is the whole looking at other businesses, helping them to understand what data protection is, because as much as it's all the terms we've used so far are quite well established, but still for business owners, small to medium and even large, it is whoa, okay, I don't know that applies to me, or I'm surely that's somebody else's bag, or how could I fall afoul of this, etc. So, just conversations I have with other business owners, it makes it quite clear that that's still a bit of a feeling. It
definitely is. It definitely is. So I've had business owners say things like, I'm a sole trader, so it doesn't apply to me. Well, no, it really does. Or it doesn't apply to GDPR. Doesn't apply because I don't share information with anybody. Sharing information is a really important part of data protection, but it's one part. If you're collecting it and using it in any way, it applies, and you need to be mindful of it, and you need to have things in place to make sure that you're looking after the information that's entrusted to you. You know, people put a lot of trust in businesses and hand over massive amounts of information. I mean, even just last week, I was booking my daughter into a holiday club at the hotel that we were at on holiday, and they wanted her name. I understand that, fair enough. You need to know what to call her. My phone number, I get that as well. They want to be able to contact me. My email address. Like, don't email me. I'm not going to look at it. I'm on holiday. And actually, chances are we're probably not going to come back to this hotel again. So even for marketing, it's like, we've done that now. We're going to move on somewhere else. They want all this information, and nowhere did it say, this is what we're going to do with it. And we're all faced with that situation probably every day. But where is the information going? How are we using it? How long are we going to keep it? You know, what happens if we don't want that company to have our information anymore? You know, it's all things that, as business owners, we need to think about that if we want people to trust our business. And because at the end of the day, if we're all, you know, all three of us in the room are entrepreneurs, we're one-woman band. People are buying Sam, André. They're not buying a big corporation. They need to trust you. And I think data protection and what you do, it's not all of it, but I do think it's an important part.
I think it sounds like there's a lot of education that still needs to be had, both for business owners, but also for people, because obviously you inquired about that. Why do you need my email?
Yeah.
But I think most people just take it, don't they? It's just like, just fill in your information, just do it.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's
accepted.
it. And I feel like there's a lot of work to be had in terms of actually educating people, in terms of them knowing what's expected of them and what to ask. Because, you know, what you said about, you know, what is going to happen to this information I give you? Is it going to be used for marketing? Is it going to be used for sales? What is it going to be? Where is it going? And that's such a big part of actually GDPR, is just actually being able to educate people. And again, as business owners, you know, I speak for myself, you kind of just don't have enough knowledge about those things to be able to put anything in place yourself. And, you know, but we are collecting data. We are taking names, addresses, email addresses, all this information, but then not really having anything in place to safeguard the clients, which is really tricky, because again, it's just an area that you don't know much about, but you need to have something in place, and you are so focused on like growing your own business and making sure all your internal processes in terms of sales, marketing are in place. But then I feel like this area is such a big, important area that very often, especially nowadays, gets neglected.
I think it absolutely does. And, you know, you haven't gone into business because you're great at accountancy and you're great at data protection and you're great at public liability. And that's not why you've gone into your business. You've gone into your business because you're great at videography and you're passionate about it. So in order for your business to be successful, you've got an accountant on board and you've got an insurance company that deals with your insurance needs. Why not have a data protection consultant on board to help you lay those foundations and make sure that everything stays on an even keel? And I think, like, we can't all be experts in every field.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, what we've highlighted here is a big unknown, right? So it's that kind of vacuous area that we don't even, you know, many of us won't even know that we need to know about it properly.
Yeah.
And so the consequences of that is when you really suddenly start to know that you needed to know something about it. And that's where, you know, having, like, as you say, I'm not gonna try and fudge my own accounts and then try and figure that out afterwards. that's just a recipe for disaster. So why should I do it with the data protection elements? Well, the reason that we're thinking that way is because we don't know.
Yeah.
So many people still don't know. And that's understanding the consequence of what happens when you don't know and get something wrong is an important factor.
Yeah.
In the same way that if you actually had all of your ducks in a row. There you go. Special ducks I might have got from a certain data protection consultant. I'm just going to put them in a row. Yeah. So if you had all your ducks in a row, but something went wrong still, at least you can say, I had my ducks in a row, did my due diligence, but hey, something happened. You're going to be far more trusted at the end of that process.
Yeah, 100%.
Than, I was just like all over the shop and I didn't know.
We're all human.
Yeah.
You can have everything sorted and still one day when you haven't quite got your eye on the ball, you haven't had that cup of coffee yet first thing in the morning, you click on the phishing email link. And all right, shouldn't have done that. Now I've got to sort it out. And we're human. And I think I've always been a huge believer in if you do something wrong and you hold your hands up and you say, look, I'm really sorry. This is what's happened. This is what I'm doing about it. And this is what I'm going to do moving forward to make sure that doesn't happen again. Do you know what? 9 times out of 10, people are going to go, all right.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. It's fine. Don't worry. But if you don't, somebody said to me once, they were working for a company where the CEO or somebody had said, we don't worry about data protection. I'd much rather just apologise if something went wrong. And I was like, but why would you not put things in place to make sure that it doesn't go wrong?
It's a strange way of phrasing it as well.
Yeah.
I'd much rather just stuff go wrong and apologise for it.
I was like,
how about avoid it going wrong?
Why would you not just put the things in place to hopefully avoid it going wrong in the first place? By all means, still put your hands up and say, I'm really sorry if it does go wrong.
Yeah.
But hopefully you're lessening the chance of that happening. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. If we're all human, in most businesses, the biggest risk to data protection is people, because we're human. That's what we do. We've got this, in this country, we've got this lovely thing where we hold doors open for people. And actually, if you're working in an office where people are working, like when I was working at the hospice, we used to say to people, please don't hold doors open for people, because if they haven't got a pass to get through that door, we don't want them to get through that door. You might be being really lovely and helpful, but if they haven't got a lanyard around their neck, don't do it. And it's things like that. We're human. It's what we do. We're nice to people. And at times we're a little bit too trusting. But that's who we are.
And of course, you just teach us to be less trustful. And
I absolutely do.
You're going to close doors now.
You're
going to be closing all the doors.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to get out of the studio after this. Yeah.
We talk a lot in data protection, especially in and around the health service. We talk a lot about least trust. We give people as little trust as we can. At the end of the day, the vast majority of people are good people trying to do good work. But you still get some people who don't want to do that. They want to disrupt. They want to prove that there's a flaw in a system somewhere. Or they are just genuinely up to no good. And if you've handed over the most personal, sensitive information about yourself, you don't want those people getting hold of it. So we work on the basis of least trust. It's easier to safeguard against things going wrong.
Yeah, of course.
I think most rules obviously are in place. When it comes to anything, it's not, most people, like I said, majority of people are good-natured people. They don't want to do any harm, but then obviously the rules are in place, and some people might say, but it's unfair that the rules are in place, but I would never do anything like that. Why do I need to comply with that? It's like, but there's that 1% of people that if that rule wasn't in place, something really bad could happen. I think from here, what I would really like to understand is like, what is your then approach? So let's say we sit down, we're having a chat, learn about the business, what we do. What is your action plan? How do you go in? What do you look at? Because that's the bit that I'm interested in.
So do you know what? This is where I really like to sit down with a big bit of paper. The bigger the better. Like, give me flip chart, I am well happy. Coloured pens, they're an absolute must. If I can get multiple colours into something, it's beautiful. And we walk it through. So I might say to you, André, okay, you get an inquiry. What information do you need from that person in order to answer their inquiry? Then what are you going to use each bit of information for? We've all been there where we've had a form to fill in. You're like, why on earth do you want to know that? You don't need that for what I'm asking of you. If you don't need it, get rid of it. I've sat with people where they've said, oh, I don't know why we asked for that because we never do anything with it. Well, don't ask for it then. Like, you don't need it, get rid of it. And we'll then work through, like, what's your lawful basis? So there are 6 lawful bases in under GDPR for processing data. So we work through what's your lawful basis for you collecting and using that bit of data. Then how long do you need it for? Once you've fulfilled whatever you're going to do with it, how long do you need it? Do you need it for 6 months? If it's a business inquiry that doesn't end up going anywhere, I would say 6 months, probably enough. If it's somebody that you end up working with, longer. And how long will depend on what industry you're in, what your industry guidance is, and how long you can reasonably keep that. Then what happens with it when you don't need it anymore? How are you going to get rid of that data? And this is something that businesses really struggle with, is getting rid of data when they don't need it anymore. Nobody likes to. We hoard. We just hold on to it all. And we're like, somebody said to me, but somebody might ask me for something. I'm like, yeah, they might. They absolutely might. And you might have to go back to them and say, no, I don't have that anymore because I had no need to keep it, because you're not psychic and you don't know that 10 minutes after you've securely got rid of something, somebody's going to ask you for it. But so that, to me, is something that's really neglected. People do just hold on to everything. But it's really important. So what I do with a business is we sit down and we map it all out. Where does it go? Where do you keep it? Do you have Post-it notes all over the room on the walls? Probably not. Not a great way to do it. But
I think you're not going upstairs in my house. That's what I'm going to say.
Do you have a system? Do you have like a CRM system, something like that you store people's information in? Where did you get that from? What sort of checks did you do about the company before you started ploughing people's information into it? All those sorts of things. But we walk through it in a really logical, step-by-step fashion, without judgment, because I'm a huge believer that there's no such thing as a silly question. If you don't know something, ask. Again, we're not all experts in every field. And we map it out. And then once we've mapped it out, we have a look at what you've got in place. So have you got a privacy notice that tells people what you're going to do with their information? The number of people who think that privacy notice is just about their website. Really not. Really not. You can have a separate one for your website. You absolutely can. But you should have one for people pre-contract, once they're in a contract. And you need to tell them what you collect, especially if you get information from other places. So let's say I've got some workshops coming up. If an employer booked an employee on one of my workshops, it's the right thing for me to do to tell that employee that I've got this information from your employer and this is what I'm going to do with it. You'd hope the employer would pass that information on, but they don't always. You can't rely on that. So it's a lot of what I do is kind of mixing what's in the rules with just what's generally morally a good thing to do. But we map it all out. then we make sure that you've got things like your privacy notice, that you've got your policies in place, that you've got your security in place in terms of your cyber security, your physical security. If you use CCTV, have you got signs up? Because that all comes under GDPR. If you're collecting images, that comes under GDPR. You have to have signs. They have to be in the right place. They have to be legible. They have, and so it goes on. This is where Sam, we joked before the podcast recording that you were going to get a bell for if I was being a bit boring.
I was just going to squeak the ducks, actually.
Yeah.
So.
That duck doesn't.
Oh, damn it. It worked before. Hang on.
But
Hey. Yeah, there it is.
I just find it so interesting because I don't find it boring at all. I just feel like whenever someone is able to bring up
Sam does a little bit.
Sam finds it boring.
I was going to play my ducks in the corner there. Nuts to you guys.
It's fine. I'll just talk to André because he finds it interesting.
But I just find it so interesting when obviously because until we met,
yeah,
I didn't have a clue, and to be honest, it's not like I didn't have any interest. It's more you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
But obviously, you've already spilled a lot of information. You do have some workshops coming up, so I don't want you to say a lot more because I want
just go through the whole thing now.
We want people to obviously, because I think what you are promoting and what you are providing for people is actually such good value for money. So I want to keep that gated a little bit as well. But where can people find about those workshops before we move on to the next bit?
So at the moment on my social media, like every other day, there's something going on there about workshops. I've also got information on my website, which is www.mandyhuntley.co.uk. That's me.
Correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Were you allowed to use that information?
I was really giving it, actually. Yes.
He was going to pass it to me.
Yes.
Yeah, he was going to pass it to me if I forgot what my name was. But it's fine. We're not there yet. Although you do have the right to be forgotten under GDPR, so maybe.
Excellent. I can say it to select a few people I know. Good. Yeah.
Can you forget me?
I've forgotten about you. Yes.
It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You can't forget about them.
God.
You have to ask them to forget about you.
That's a shame.
Yeah. But information about my workshops is everywhere on my website, on my social media. I'm active on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. All under versions of Mandy Huntley Data Protection. The workshops are coming up on the 16th and 21st of October. I've got a face-to-face one on the 16th of October in Horsham, and then the 21st of October is online for anybody who's a bit further afield, or it's just more convenient to tackle data protection in your pajamas on Teams
with a cup of coffee.
There is absolutely no judgment here. You can rock up in your PJs and slippers if you want. That's fine.
So what's the format of those workshops? What kind of things are you talking about?
It is 10 ton of legal jargon. No, it's not. It's really not.
Back to my jobs.
It is really not. Okay, so what I do is I actually strip out the jargon completely. We've all been there. We've sat through training courses where it tells you. Like I never understood when I was working for the NHS. They would tell me which type of bag to use for clinical waste, and I'd be like, I'm not going to do that because that's not my role. But so I'd strip all of that out. Right? We talk about what you need to know as a small to medium-sized business owner. And then most importantly, how to apply it in your business. So it's all well and good me saying you've got to have a lawful basis for processing data. But actually, how do you work out what that is? We go through it.
That's huge, though. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it is something that's been a real. Personally, what I've seen is lots of you need to do this, you need to do that, you have to make sure this is in place, you've got to make sure that's in place, with zero practical application or zero. And when you ask some people those questions, you get back, well, that's your problem to solve.
Yeah.
That's literally the answer I've had from somebody who might class themselves as a data protection expert.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry.
No, it's not.
Sorry, no, hang on. Are we not all in the same boat here?
Yeah, no, 100%. If you bought a new camera and you couldn't figure out how to work a certain aspect of it, you'd have an instruction manual or a helpline to ring. It's no different. Like, we sit down and we'll work out, well, what does this mean for Sam Khan Photography? What does this mean for you? And we put that in place. The other thing that I do in my workshops is I provide things like an example privacy notice, so that you can go away and you can make changes to it, you can adapt it, you can, it's completely free for people to use. Because I think it's really important. It doesn't come naturally to people to sit down and write these documents that can sometimes be quite lengthy because of what you're dealing with. But we'll work through how to use it and which bits you need to amend, what you need to put in where, and all the rest of it, so that you've got the right stuff in place.
That sounds really comprehensive, actually.
It is quite a lot to shoehorn into a few hours.
Because do you know what I can see? And something that I've done, much to my detriment, and I know that many small business owners will have done the same, particularly when they're starting out, is they'll know, or let's take an example, okay, data protection is the example we're talking about, but you can talk about any example of an element of your business that you need to get right, that you don't know very much about. You'll do a little bit of hunting around and go, do you know what, I need a privacy notice. How do I get that? I'll pay for this person to do that. And great, I've got that sorted out. And actually you haven't.
No.
But what you're providing, or what your workshop will look like, it sounds like what would be is actually a nice scaffold to really build on, to know exactly what you need to know, and the things that don't apply to you as much as what does. So actually, at the end, not only are you saving yourself time and headache and problems in the future, but actually saving yourself some money too.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, you are. And I mean, one of the things that I offer, workshops is just kind of one part of the business. One of the things that I offer, which is not right for a lot of small businesses, but a bit bigger maybe, is a data protection officer as a service. So you can almost buy a bit of me. So I'm working in a business to help keep things on the straight and narrow. One of the big things with GDPR is there's a lot of people out there who say you can never be GDPR compliant, which is slightly baffling.
It does kind of nullify the whole point of it. Yes.
It absolutely does.
I don't know that, André. I've got a different guest on, okay?
It's slightly baffling to me, because but what they're getting at is it has to be a continuous thought process.
Yeah.
It has to be, we talk about things like data protection by design and by default, which is just in every decision that you make, you're thinking, what's the impact on this for people's privacy? And that's what we have to try and instill in businesses, that sort of mindset of, I have to think about it, not just as a tick box exercise. I'm not into tick box governance, but it needs to be embedded in people, so they think about it every step of the way. So when that bright, shiny new system comes in that's going to fix all their problems, they're thinking, but where's that data going and who's got access to it?
Yeah.
That's when I've won.
Well, that's it. And it's about, I think it goes back to everyone. The reason what you mentioned earlier about you started your business, or I started my business because I'm good at videography. And then, once this scales, it's like, well, I'll be making the business's decisions, but that will be to grow the business even further. So I shouldn't have to worry about the data protection side of things, because, if I want to change the way I approach my marketing, it should just be, okay, well, I want to change the marketing because I think this will work better. Or if I want to implement a new sales system, then it should just be that. But if at every step of the way, I'm having to stop and think, well, how does this, how does GDPR? Exactly. So I think it's so...
and the rules have changed since I last looked at it as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
That's the thing. It's a movable piece, and it's an area where we have to wait for a lot of case law. So there's a new act of law, the Data Use and Access Act.
Oh, I'm getting the ducks out again. Sorry,
Yeah, get your ducks out. Get your ducks out, Sam. You have a play.
Stop rude to me! Oh my God! Yeah.
But the new act literally replaced a load of jargon-filled waffle in GDPR with new jargon-filled waffle.
I thought you were going to say with simpler.
No. Do you know what we can each have
and somebody has to be sad enough to read the jargon-filled waffle and work out what it means. Well, that's me. But it's those things, like when you want to send a marketing email out to your whole database because you've got some fantastic new products that you think's absolutely fantastic, and you want to shout from the rooftops because of course you do, because you're a small business. Can you do it? Should you do it? How do you do it?
How do you do it? Yeah.
And I hate saying no, but I like to say, let's put the right things in place.
Yeah, you might say no, but it'll be a no with a but.
Yes.
We can make it a yes.
Absolutely.
If we do X, Y, and Z,
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
And what you could do is send an email out before saying, I've made some changes to my privacy policy. If you want to unsubscribe, here's how you can do it. And then move on from there.
So I think it's great that you're actually offering both sides of the coin, where you are offering the educational side of things with the workshops, which sound absolutely incredible. But then you're also offering the officer, the actual helping hand on the moment side of things as well, which I think is great, because I think that's what most businesses need, because we don't have the time and the knowledge and the patience to be going through every term, and then all of a sudden you've just finished reading that massive GDPR manual, and all of a sudden there's a new law. Like you just went, well,
Okay.
But there's another manual now.
I'm like, oh great, so the massive GDPR manual that I've got, do I really need to sit and go through it and work out the bits that have changed and then draw? I'm like, no.
But the consequences are huge though. This is the thing, and I think it's what people don't realize, and it's what Sam was saying earlier about, yeah, you might want to ignore it for now, but you will find out, and when you find out, it's too late, and it could be business closure, to that point, depending on the size of the matter.
It absolutely could be. Do you know what? I had a business owner call me a few months back, wanting some help, and it broke my heart, because I had to say to him, it's gone too far. You need solicitors. Because this chap had basically lost his business because somebody had hacked his social media accounts, and they had managed to keep the front end of his social media going, but had changed all the contact information. So they were basically marketing their business on his 5-star reviews, perfect reputation. They'd then gone as far as going into his personal social media and the social media of his family, and pulling off pictures of his kids and like cloning his social media accounts and reposting pictures of his kids. And you just think, wow.
God.
How much have you lost?
God, even listen to that, because that real feeling in the pit of your stomach, just it. God.
Yeah.
Because it's so so possible that for it to happen to anyone.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I think sometimes I have this idea of like, oh, that'll never happen to me because I'm not at that stage yet, or I don't have that big of a CRM going on. And then you hear stories like that.
Or quite simply, like the whole thing of like, it'll never happen to me because nothing does until it does.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you don't even have to have like those high level thought processes. Yeah. It could just be a case of that's somebody else, somewhere else, nameless, faceless, until it happens to you or someone next to you, right?
And that wasn't a data breach in as much as people taking his customers' data, although inadvertently they were, because they were diverting his messages. Yeah. But it was hitting him personally. And we kind of put ourselves out there as being sole traders, and it is it's really risky. It's really risky to us on a personal level, and on a professional level. And this chap, I mean, when I said to him, I'm really sorry, my advice would be to take it down a legal route. If you know who it is, you need to get a solicitor to write a cease and desist letter. I'm not convinced that will work, but that's got to be your first step. And he was broken. Yeah. He was an absolutely broken man on the end of the phone. And it was, really sad. It was a real kind of sobering day. And actually, where did that come from? I kind of mulled it over afterwards, and I was like, how did that happen? Well, at the end of the day, that's happened because somebody has managed to get information. Somebody has managed to change his login information for his social media accounts. Was it not a strong enough password? Was there no two-factor authentication on it, where you get the annoying messages to your mobile phone with a code and you're thinking, I don't know where my phone is and I just want to log in.
Do you want to go do something else now? I was going to log in.
I'm going to give up. I had it with my business emails not that long ago, and I got stuck in this authentication loop. And I was on the phone to the support line. I was like, it's too secure, I can't get into it. And they were like, what's the nature of the business? I was like, it's data protection. Yes, I know. I should be pleased that it's that secure.
Did they start laughing at you?
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, just sort it out, because I was just stuck in this loop, and I was like, this bonkers. And as annoying as those things are, they're so important.
Of course.
So important. Because this chap had lost it all.
And it's so, that's so close to home, because you see, obviously that's not to say that bigger businesses don't suffer the same way, but that when it's a one-man band or two-person band or duet, you just know that they're pouring everything, all their time, all their money, everything, all their energy into that small business. And when things like that happen, that is soul destroying. You pour your heart and soul into it, but then look at what's just happened with the likes of M&S. There will have been people there that have poured everything in to sorting that out, and have worked all the hours to try and get that resolved, and it's still taken them as long as it's taken them, and their losses are phenomenal. And the loss of trust with their customers, some of them they won't get them back. Now, all right, a company like M&S, I have absolutely no doubt that they'll survive. It's not going to be the end of the business. But imagine that sort of thing to a smaller business. You couldn't. How could you survive? It's it would be the end of it. And then everything that you've worked for is gone because you didn't have your ducks in a row. That's it.
There you go.
There we go.
But I think that's just
come back from that, Sam. Come on.
Bounce back.
Well, I gave you my ducks, so it's all over. My ace is a hole, gone.
But again, it just goes to show that we focus on what we're good at, and it's so important to find out. I'm not saying, because it's impossible for everyone to just know about this. But it's equally as important for people to just be aware of it. And if it's something that you can't, because most people won't be able to, you just don't have the time or the knowledge, then really, really go out there and find someone who can give you a hand with that, because it's just hearing that story, it's water.
And one of the things that I think is a big problem at the moment is, with the kind of the acceleration of AI, and people are using AI for everything now. And if you go into ChatGPT and you say, write me a privacy notice, this is my business, it will write you a privacy notice. Will that bear any resemblance to what you actually do? Probably not. No. I am really sad and geeky like this, so I'm really sorry, Sam. I went to the ChatGPT privacy notice and read it. And then I asked ChatGPT questions about its own privacy notice.
Brilliant.
And it gave me different answers. And I was like, okay. And this was about how do you use information? Like the information that you put into it, is it used to train the algorithms and all of that? And ChatGPT was saying, no, we don't do that. Go to their privacy notice, it tells you something different. You can't can't trust these things. No. And actually it won't be until something goes wrong that you realise that it's gone really wrong and you can't trust that.
But then again, yes, you touched upon ChatGPT and other AIs. And I think, there's no doubt there are people out there asking those questions. But then again, if you are going to go to ChatGPT and ask it those questions, like you said, it's not going to be business specific, 1. 2, you're not learning about, or you're not having a base understanding that you get when you have someone like yourself. And 3, you basically just keep leaving gaps where things could go wrong because you haven't had someone who's actually knowledgeable about what they're doing, see your business, chat to you about what the process looks like, where you need to have those things in place, and actually from there, then write that privacy notice. You're just going, can you help me?
Exactly. I think a lot of businesses that I've spoken to have said, like my privacy notice on my website, and the people who wrote my website did my privacy notice. I'm like, that's great, brilliant. So they'll know exactly what is going on for like the analytics that sit behind it, your cookies. Nobody understands what cookies are. I much prefer the chocolate chip ones. Yeah. But your web designer will absolutely know all of that for that bit of your business.
Yeah.
They don't know what you're doing with all your other data processes. So your privacy notice can't just be about your website. That's one little bit of it, tiny bit of it, and not where you collect the most personal and sensitive information. So I think it's really important for people it comes back to what we were saying about education. People have to understand that there's more to it. And hopefully my workshops will kind of put that across in a human way. When we get to the bit where we talk about cookies, I do provide cookies, the chocolate chip variety, because do you know what? It just makes it a little bit more palatable.
I don't want to chew on these rubber ducks all day.
Exactly. Who wants to chew on a rubber duck? But we do, because we're people, and we're people who are in those situations trying to grasp a subject that really doesn't come too easy to us. And is quite alien in some respects.
So, and in respect to the way that you work, so you talked about some of the workshops, you talked about being the DPO, Data Protection Officer, or that role for larger businesses or organisations. So then, with smaller businesses, do you work more on a sort of ad hoc type basis? Do you work on a retained type basis? So if I was thinking, okay, I need to get a data protection consultant to look at my processes, how would that work with you?
So the Data Protection Officer as a service is kind of for the bigger businesses where they're dealing with a lot of sensitive special category information. That's the most sensitive information about us. For smaller businesses, or businesses such as yourself who perhaps don't handle that type of information or not much of it, then I do a consultancy service. So if you said to me, do you know what, I want to just basically know that what I'm doing is right, and it's going to take a bit longer. It might be, I don't know, you might say we could get it sorted in a day. All right, we'll do it as a consultancy arrangement. I also have like a 1 hour, what I call a privacy pit stop. Nice little bit of alliteration in there, which is just 1 hour. Like, bring whatever you whatever your issues are, bring them to the table. As long as they're about data protection, don't bring on stuff.
You left that open.
Yeah, left that way too open.
Can I come
Data
tomorrow?
protection
What
issues.
size of duck do I need?
That, do you know what I say? I say data protection, and data protection's in my business name.
So it is. Don't wear it out.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
But actually, I deal with more than data protection. I deal with.
Say that here.
It doesn't say that. I deal with information governance. Nice little extra little phrase there. You're going to need more.
I think I need a description for that.
Oh, you're saving me today. Yeah.
So you know how people say not every hot tub is a jacuzzi, but every jacuzzi is a hot tub?
I do now.
Yes, you do now. It's the same thing. Okay. Data protection is one part of information governance. Information governance covers everything from, I don't know, like your trade secrets about how you get the best images, from your camera. And there might be things that you keep to yourself. You don't want other photographers doing. That information, where is it? How are you storing it? What are you, I mean, you're going to say to me, oh, it's just in my head, man.
Totally. 100%.
It's all that sort of stuff. So information governance covers the whole spectrum, whereas data protection is about the personal information, information about living people. So it's just one bit of it. But actually, my knowledge covers the whole of data protection. So we touch on that a tiny little bit in the workshops, but it's predominantly about information about people and living people at that, because the law is very specific.
No, I'm very curious about something you said earlier. Obviously, when it comes for DPOing for bigger companies, obviously we're not. But what is classified as what you've said, like really specific secure information? What could that be? Because obviously we deal with like names, addresses, all that kind of stuff. What's the next tier?
So this is good. It's like next level data protection. You see,
because I need to know what to ask people from now on in my surveys.
Someone's got their ducks in a row.
So the law defines it as special category data. That's the nice little jargon name that it gives
very
it.
Niche, isn't it?
Doesn't help at all. Doesn't tell you what it is. It's the information about a person that's a bit more personal, a bit more sensitive. It's things like your health information. They give a whole great big long list of things, including trade union membership, and information about people's religion, ethnicity, those sorts of things that people might want to keep. They're a bit more protected. They're your protected characteristics. They're things where perhaps prejudice could come in, or in terms of like health information, they're the things that you don't want plastered on the side of a bus. So that's where the information's more. It needs an extra level of protection. It needs a little bit more consideration. In most of our businesses, so if we provide anything like a workshop, like meetings, if we organise networking meetings or something like that, and we ask people any sort of access needs, access requirements, somebody could say to you, well, actually, I've got, I don't know, XYZ wrong with me, and this means that I can't, I need wheelchair access, or I need, you're teetering there right on the edge of sensitive information, because it's information about people's health. So you're teetering right on the edge. You need to be careful about that. So if I had somebody coming to my workshops who needed, step-free access or something like that, I couldn't then stand in my workshop and say, well, all right, we're going to go and get coffee and it's downstairs, but do you know what, John, because you need step-free access, you need to do this, that. That's not appropriate. I might just say, we're going downstairs for coffee, because actually John knows that there's a lift there because he used it to get up, So it's just that sort of thing where we have to just be a little bit more careful about that information, how we're using it, who we're sharing it with, those sorts of things. But in GDPR, there's really specific rules about how we do that.
I mean, I can think of a lot of cases, obviously me in specific because of my eyesight, where I have signed up for things before where people have asked me, where there was a survey about, do you have a disability, or do you consider yourself to have one, or whatever, or what's your religion? And it's actually, now that I've chatted with you, I now know that I can question that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't just because it has a star.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I need to answer it. I can always reach out and ask those questions, because they do not need to know that information.
No. And if you stop and think, do they need to know that information, then absolutely question it. Because it might be that they are surveying the people who take up their service to try and make sure that it's as inclusive as it can be. Fantastic. We need more of that. We need businesses to be, disability aware and kind of know that they're putting the right things in place. But then they have to tell you that. And actually, that information should then be kept separate from your name, because they don't need to know that André has a problem with eyesight. They don't need those two bits together.
Should just be one of the people that answered your survey.
Yeah.
Is whatever.
Absolutely. So, like, if you were applying for a job, you normally get like an equal opportunities form.
Yeah.
And some places are really clear to say this will be separated from the rest of your application.
Yes.
That won't go to the recruiting panel. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, it's been incredible. I feel like it's not even from like a data protection. Well, it is definitely, but it's about what you should allow and what you should just accept and let people take from you. I feel like that to me has been the biggest lesson today, is about actually you can question it. Actually, no, they don't need that information, or if they do need that information, I'd like to know, and that's completely reasonable.
And ask the questions. And do you know what? If people can't give you an answer, then that should be a red flag. Give them my number. I'll bring ducks. We'll get them in. I'll bring ducks and paper and coloured pens. We'll get it sorted, don't worry.
Good.
Excellent.
So apart from the workshops, have you got anything else exciting coming up?
Oh, what have I got exciting coming up? I've got some more workshops.
Oh, more workshops, hey!
I've got some more workshops in partnership with Horsham District Council.
Oh, brilliant.
In the new year. Where that is a whole day of data protection. Oh, it's going to be beautiful. That will really give us the opportunity to get under the skin and work out how to apply it to each individual business in the room. So I'm kind of working up the content for that at the moment, but that's really exciting. The first one is going to be on the 28th of January, which is World Data Protection Day.
Really? There we go. Everything has a day now.
Everything has a day. Yeah, everything has a day. But World Data Protection Day is just... It's etched.
It has a ring to it, doesn't it? Yeah. It's very special.
So what happens on the Data Protection Day?
Not a lot, really.
Okay, so what happens in the Mandy Huntley household?
Do you know what? The only reason I actually know the date of World Data Protection Day is because it's also my dad's birthday.
Oh, there it is.
It's quite an important day for me.
I mean, I feel like all the stars are lining up, just as the ducks are lining up.
Absolutely.
It was meant to be, Mandy.
Absolutely, it was meant to be. So the first one of those is January, and then what else have we got going on? Plugging away at the business. Got some interesting stuff going on.
Well, one of the things I will say is that, and I recommend everyone do this, is on your social media platforms, you do regularly post some really good advice and case studies where some everybody will be able to take away something from those. Yeah. So whether it's the example being, close or analogous to someone's own business, or whether it's be to do with bits of information that you put out that is relevant that we didn't even know was relevant. It's always there, and you do that quite regularly, which is really great. So I very much encourage everyone to do that, because that's just, why not? It's free advice, and it's coming from someone who knows what they're talking about. So great, you can you have that trust element to it as well, which is great.
Yeah, I think it's really important, because again, it comes back to, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And like one of the ones that I did recently was around CCTV. We've all seen it. We've all seen it on social media, the images of people shoplifting. And, these people have stolen this from my shop. And I really feel for the business owner in that situation, because I think somebody stealing from your business must be like the most infuriating thing possible. But does that make it okay to put their image on social media that you've taken on CCTV? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And so those sorts of things, I think it's really important to help people to just think it through when they're not in the heat of the moment, when it's not that somebody's just come and swiped a whole shelf of stuff off of their corner shop. But you can just think it through calmly, rationally. Yeah. That's not what I'm going to do in that situation. And we're starting to see people get in trouble for those sorts of things. So it's worth paying attention to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing we didn't really talk about up to now is the ICO. And that's obviously a huge part of what you do, and a huge part of what businesses could fall afoul of in terms of obviously reporting data breaches. Yeah. So tell us a bit about that.
So the ICO is the Information Commissioner's Office. They are the data protection regulator in this country, and any business who collects personal information should be registered with the ICO. Again, this is something that's quite variable between small businesses, especially, and some not so small. But a lot of people say, well, why? What does the ICO do for me? Well, the ICO has got an absolute fountain of like information on their website. A lot of it directed at small businesses. And I mean, some of it can sometimes be quite difficult to kind of put into practice in your business, and kind of make that application. But it's all there, and they provide that free of charge. And the fee, which frankly is a really small fee that most small businesses pay to the ICO, funds their work. The ICO, as the regulator, also, if you were to have a data breach, so if somebody were to hack into your systems, or if you realise that, I don't know, information about all your clients has been leaked in some other way, you didn't have your phone locked and your phone got stolen or something like that, you're duty bound to report it to the ICO. Most people don't realise that, or realise that you've got 72 hours in which to report it to the ICO. Then they can work through that with you. They can work through what did you have in place. Was like in the case of your phone, was it locked? Were you able to wipe it remotely? Actually, what was the extent of the damage here? It might be that the ICO issue a fine, because that's ultimately what they can do. They can issue a fine, they can, and the fines can be hefty. They don't have a track record for issuing really hefty fines. They work far more on the carrot principle than the stick. But they can do that. But the really important thing is that they can work through what you need to do to make sure it doesn't happen again. So I would advise every small business to take seriously that need to be registered with them. It is something that should be in your privacy notice. Your registration number should be in there. And people like me, and I hope other people, once they've heard this, look for those sorts of things. It's a really good indicator for how seriously does this business take data protection. So it's a must, in just the same way as you would have public liability insurance, you would have professional indemnity, all that sort of stuff. You need to be registered with the ICO as well.
Excellent.
Is that public information then? Like, if someone was to search the business, could you search ICO for the
Yep.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. If you go to the ICO website, you can search the register.
Does André have some homework to do?
Ooh, I might have some homework to do. That's private information, actually.
You absolutely can search the register, and you can see. You can either see just that the business is registered. In some situations where people have a data protection officer, if the business needs one, not every business needs one, you can see who the data protection officer is. But the ICO is also really, really important in terms of if somebody had a complaint about something that you've done with their data, they can complain to the ICO. Now, the thing that personally I think would be pretty embarrassing is if a customer of yours was not happy and complained to the ICO, and then the ICO say, we don't know who this business is. Who are they? They're not registered with us. I think that would be pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, wouldn't it, André?
It probably would, but they would never know.
Oh, yeah.
Who is this business? Does it exist? Does it exist? No,
They will find you.
I'm sure they will. And this is the thing. I think this again has been the best thing about this conversation is just about knowing what you don't know.
So really, this has just been a consultation between Mandy Huntley and André
Yeah.
Zeferino. So yes, it's just I was right to put in my
Send me the
dice.
invoice.
I'm going to invoice him, don't worry.
Send me the invoice. But no, I mean, yeah, it's a world, isn't it? It's huge, and I definitely didn't know how big it actually is, and I think I might be very naive, but I think this is common. I'm not the only person. I think this is quite because everyone's so focused again on growing their own business and pursuing what their dream is.
Yeah.
That you actually it's like tunnel vision, isn't it? You focused on that, and obviously there's these things that need to be taken care of. But because you are on that line, it's so hard to then stop. And it's only in these moments or when something bad happens where you actually stop for a second and realize actually.
Yeah.
This is a lot more serious than I thought it was going to be, and it's something that definitely needs to be paid attention to.
Well, and the key thing is as well, like on exactly what you're saying, André. It isn't just that as well. It's also for people who do maybe have a little bit of knowledge around it, or maybe, I think I've got this right, but actually the world is changing all the time.
Yeah.
The rules are changing all the time, and you just can't be complacent about it. You can't be like, oh great, I've got that sorted once, cool, off to the next thing. That 100% people can fall into that trap easily. So whether you're just kind of listening to some of this and thinking, oh my god, I haven't done any of that, or I've got all my ducks in a row. Do you though? Do you? And that's where we've been so privileged to speak with some great business owners, yourself included, of course. And we were speaking with Julian last time around IT and IT security. We'll be speaking with Philip about AI and how that shifts and the things you really need to be careful of. Yeah, people can just go, great, I've got this sorted now, and just happy days. You might do in that 5-minute period that you're thinking about it. Yeah.
And that's where, like, there's a lot of people in the data protection industry that say you can never be GDPR compliant. And that's exactly why. Because you might be in a split second. And then things move on. Yeah. And, it's also why I kind of get where they're coming from. I don't necessarily agree, because I think if you keep it going, if you keep that thought process going, I think you can maintain it.
Yeah, it's about keeping a system in place. Like anything like you're talking about, André, systems in your business, the data protection needs to be part of that system. And then you can, mitigate that, pitfall of falling afoul of places because you're okay 1 minute and not the next. Yeah. Because it's just a different way of thinking that we all need to get on board with, really.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something you said earlier about, like, if you think you know what you're doing, and you might, I might come into a business and say, do you know what, you've got it sussed. My kind of biggest contract, I work as part of a team of data protection people. And we still bounce things off of each other all the time. Yeah. Because sometimes you just need another set of eyes, or somebody to say to you, have you thought about this? And that I think as well is valuable, because it's somebody almost asking those awkward questions, but what are you going to do with that? You know, you've collected that bit of information, you've used it once. Do you need to keep it for 25 years? No, probably not.
Well, no, but that's exactly that. And I think one of the things that can frustrate businesses is having those questions just be a bit sort of vacuous and vague. And of course, it must be the case, I'm being presumptuous, of course, it must be the case that you yourself, in your position, understanding the rules, to be like, that is a bit open to interpretation. Even the rule is open to interpretation, because there are lots of shades of grey, even with things that are as binary as, you know, someone's data. And, you know, if I was asking somebody, yourself or a data protection consultant, hey, look, how long should I keep this piece of data? And the answer I get back is 6 months. Really? Well, why not 7? Why not 5.5?
Yeah.
Why not 6 months and 1 day?
Exactly.
And these are the sorts of things that actually, I mean, this is the point. Like, I don't know the reason behind that. But having the right guidance as the principles of, okay, just something that you need to be able to justify and have the backing of being able to justify it, that's where this is really valuable.
And I think that is a really, really valuable point, because I think if something does go wrong and you can say, yes, it went wrong, but do you know what? These are all the steps that I went through to try and make sure that I got it right. Then at least people can see that you've thought about it, you've considered it, you've put things in place to mitigate risks. And it's so important. It's so important to do.
I think even if you end up getting fined, at least you can say that the trust side of things, it's there because people can see that you took the right steps, that you had the right processes in place to save that from happening.
It's really, really unlikely that you would get fined if you can, like, as I used to say at school, show your workings. Like, it's unlikely that you're going to get fined in that situation. What's more likely for a small business is the negative review that turns into negative comments on your social media posts, that turns into the wrong sort of word of mouth, not what we want, not going to be helpful to grow our businesses. It's that sort of stuff that's way more likely, and actually can be just as damaging, if not more damaging, because how many people really go through the ICO website to see who's been fined? Also on there, by the way, make some good reading. But how many people do that? Sad people like me.
Well, come January 28th, the whole world will be doing it.
But the stuff that people do see, like, I'm not going to recommend somebody because actually I know that this didn't work out for this person. It's that sort of stuff which can be way more damaging. That was a nice jolly thought for you, wasn't it?
That was. Gonna sleep well tonight.
I'm not going to sleep tonight.
It's really nothing to be like. It's nothing to be that scared about.
No, and I think you actually you came in and you obviously joked about the darks and about it being boring, but I think
who was joking? Sorry,
yeah. But you actually managed to transform and to convey this message of something that on paper sounds boring in a way that's actually interesting and informative. And obviously, I'm sure the workshops will be exactly the same. So thank you so much for coming on and obviously explaining it in that way, because if you made me understand, then you can make anyone understand. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, no, thank you. That was incredible.
Thanks for having me. It's been such a good experience, coming in and talking to you guys. So yeah, thank you.
And thank you. And is there? I mean, there's one thing that again we ask in every podcast for every business owner, which is you've told us how you got to where you are. You've told us what you're doing now, but what's the future of Mandy Huntley, data protection consultant? Where are you going? What's your vision?
What is the future? I would like to get to the point where, do you know what, somebody says, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I don't really understand. Somebody said to me a few weeks back, I've got a privacy notice, but I don't even understand it. So how do other people understand it?
André was trying to subtly tell you that. So he was hinting a little bit. I don't know if you caught on to that. Yeah.
Do you know what? If we got to the point where people said, you need to speak to Mandy. Speak to Mandy. She'll help you. She'll put you on the right track. Do you know what? I'll be well happy. And I'm not out for world domination. I'm not out for being the next information commissioner.
I mean, that's refreshing, right? The amount of people we have on this podcast that are just like, we want to dominate, that's it. Hey, that's there, exactly. That's why we put it there. It wasn't just a chance, why did you get that?
The Easter egg has revealed itself.
I'm not out for that. I want, like, my whole reason for starting my own business was because, you know, on sports day, I want to be able to say, do you know what, I'm not working this morning because I'm going to watch my kids run races. That's it. I wanted something that fits in better with family life.
Yeah.
That is what I want. I'm not out for world domination. I want to help people understand data protection. But do you know what? At the same time, I would love to get to the point where people don't need me because they get it. We're a long way off that.
Yes.
I'm not retiring anytime soon.
Well, and as you said, no one will ever be fully
changes.
fully covered anyway. So
Changes all the time.
there you go. I guess you're not going to have that break, I'm afraid, Manny.
No, sorry.
That dream will remain. Yes.
You might as well go for world domination.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep going.
I mean, sports day is boring anyway, let's be honest. You just stand around.
Now, André, our kids go to the same school.
Well, look, I also just found out that André can read, so that's like, I didn't know.
Hey, just not the previously noticed.
Our kids go to the same school, and I'm a governor of that school.
Whoa.
So I can't
I feel
say.
like that's all like a load of information that's just been shared in a podcast that's been viewed by millions. Nearly millions.
Sports day is not boring.
No, it's
Sports
not.
day
It's
is a
actually
lovely,
really fun.
inclusive event.
Sports day is very inclusive, very fun, and I was definitely not paid to say that.
He definitely wasn't paid to say. Yeah, what?
Where's the money?
Don't sow seeds of doubt in the viewers.
And I absolutely love it when kids run up a field looking to see who's watching them because they're so excited. That for me, yeah.
No, I really, you know, what you said about making it fit in, it really goes alongside my own values, which is like, you know, it's great to get to a position where you don't have to work as much. You don't have to have that vision. And sometimes I struggle to when people ask me that question, and it's like, well, you know, I don't want to be the best videographer in England. If it happens, it happens. What I want is to be able to say to my kids, look, you can pursue your dreams.
Yeah.
You can do that. And to be able to say, yeah, it is sports day. You know what?
Yeah.
I don't have to. I can just wait. I can just go with you and watch you do that. And I think that's so important.
Absolutely.
And just really shows like what kind of person you are and what kind of values you have.
Yeah, I think it's really important. And like you say, you know, you're instilling in the kids that you can follow a dream and that nobody can tell you that you can't do that dream. You go for it. If you want to do it, you go for it. But you're also instilling in them the importance of family and making time for each other. And yeah, that to me is really important, really important.
Well, man, that is one hell of a message to finish on, I would say.
It is.
Excellent. Well, Mandy, thanks so much again.
Also, on that note of like family and that, I'm really pleased that you got me out of bedtime tonight. So thanks very much.
I'm out of bedtime, is that?
Gosh, there it is. There it is.
And this is why I come every Thursday. If people want to find out a bit more about you, I know we mentioned website, the things that you do on social media. Where can they get in touch?
My website is the best place. So www.mandyhuntley.co.uk.
Got it.
Got it right again.
Yes.
My social media. I'm very contactable. But I'm so happy to hear from people, even if it's you know, I've got this issue, I'm not quite sure. Fine, let's talk. Let's talk it out. There's no such thing as a silly question.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for giving us a bit of your time and knowledge as well.
Ducks.
And ducks.
And ducks.
Sorry, I didn't bring cookies, but
That is actually, now that you mention,
it's
disappointing.
It's
in a
not
way.
great for people who are watching and listening to,
You mentioned it so many times.
crunching of cookies,
can have those
crumbs
ASMR.
flying. Yeah,
We're missing a niche there, aren't we?
that's going down a whole different avenue.
Again, these are the moments. I'm like, do I keep this in? Do I get this out?
Keep everything in.
It's roulette, man. It's roulette every time. Every time.
You need a blooper reel. That's
We spin that wheel.
what you need.